Nice. Good, dude.
I did it. Yeah.
Interesting.
See, I did it different this time.
It's very funny.
Just for you guys.
That was hilarious.
They won't. They won't, the audience won't see that at all. Won't hear it. I did
Well,
it
for the
just
audience,
to,
he counted 3, 2, 1, 4.
just to switch it up for you guys. Yeah, it was funny.
It was like he was doing reverse sort, but then he ran it one too many times and it fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
Okay, so I'm gonna be up front. I watched intently for about half an hour of this movie, and then I started playing Balloon Fight on my Switch. So
I'm telling you, man, it's not good.
it's really not. And it's like the worst thing about it is that Robin Williams' character is so one-dimensional, and so one-dimensional in a way that's like so unappealing and unentertaining on any level that it like fails even as being just like mindless TV. It can't even do that much because it creates this weird like surreal fever dream atmosphere where he's just this cartoonishly idiotic bumbling fucking
He's doing
guy.
alchemy. That's what he's doing. He's performing magic through science. He's
And
created a substance that defies all laws of thermodynamics.
Well, and he's actually an idiot because it's not like he figured it out using science. He figured it out because he tried switching the hot to the
Hot
cold.
and cold. Well, that's how chemicals work.
And it's not
hot
even
and cold.
It's not even switching it. It's he just typed it in, and then it was like, yeah, I got it.
Well, he filled the what was it? It looked like a buckyball, like a Buck Fuller Minster sphere. You all know what I'm talking about? You all know chemistry?
No,
No. Well,
but yeah,
it's a form of.
I flunked.
It's a way of arranging carbon atoms to create a substance that, when it's compressed hard enough, is harder than diamond.
yeah, okay.
Chemistry.
Yeah.
What if you put diamonds in
Something. I don't think that would work because it wouldn't be uniform. Anyways, something I read on IMDb, which was accredited to Will Wheaton saying this, but apparently when they filmed this movie, they would film a take, like normally according to the script, but then they would do other takes with like Robin Williams improvising, and even though those scenes never made it into the film, apparently there were enough reshoots, according to Will Wheaton, that they could make an entirely different film. And that's kind of the film I wanted to see. Because you know what
Yeah, that
movies...
sounds way better.
You know what movie was great because they gave Robin the ability to improvise and sort of do different character voices?
You know, I think I might.
I'll give you 3 wishes and the first 2 don't count.
Nice.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Nice.
The one where he said Neon Genesis Evangelion. Home Alone. Wait,
Yeah.
he wasn't. No.
You fucked it up, even in your joke.
No. I looked over to my pile of VHS as I saw Home Alone, and I was like, yes, he was in that. He played Macaulay Culkin. I think this...
I hope you can feel the disdain. I'm attempting to shoot it over all the way from the East Coast.
Yeah.
I feel it every second that your presence is within me.
Damn, that's dark.
But...
I'm very powerful.
This movie, I mean...
I can't really turn it off.
It's very fucking one-dimensional and lame, but, like, maybe it's just nostalgia blinders, but I think it's like average. It's not like
Jesus
so fucking like
Christ.
terrible.
Yes, it is.
Well, okay.
It's because I watched it a lot like with my like aunt and like extended family, and they were like, "Oh, Robin Williams, good movie," and I was like, "Yeah,
Ooh,
sure."
Goop. I like
and I thought it
Nickelodeon
was
Gak.
entertaining enough as a kid, so I was like, "Yeah, this is all right." It's not like high art. It's not like super good at all.
You're right.
but
It's not good by
decent
most
enough.
measures. What if I told you
But
the
the
same
second half is, like,
cinematographer
really
who
fucking
worked on this
boring.
movie also worked on John Carpenter's The Thing?
Nice, good.
I forget his name. It was Dan something. I just started looking
Snyder.
up a lot of trivia for this movie because there's not a whole lot interesting to talk about
There's
it.
really not. even if I wasn't on my phone right now, I don't think I would have a lot to say.
So, did y'all know the origin of this film in particular? How much do you know
No.
about the greater Flubber canon?
The Absent-Minded Professor, followed
I
by
looked.
Son of Flubber in 1963.
I was thinking about picking Son of Flubber, but I hadn't seen it, and they kind of consolidated the two into this movie in a weird
Yeah.
way. So it's just doesn't matter.
I saw that they existed on Letterboxd, and like I was watching on Disney Plus, and like right as
Oh
soon
my
as the
god,
credits.
it's on fucking Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Of course, why would they leave
that's why I
anything
watched
off?
Odd Life of Timothy Green as well. That was on Disney Plus.
I'm winking at my copy of Song of the South right now as I say that. My VHS copy that I have.
It's not that I'm in disbelief. It's more I'm upset at the reality of it.
Yeah, and as the credits played, it recommended The Absent-Minded Professor. I'm like, what the fuck what's that movie? And then I went on Letterboxd to rate it, and it was like Son of Flubber, 1963, and I was like, what the fuck is that movie? Is that even related? Does that have anything to do with this? So educate me.
Well, basically, Walt Disney met a professor who was doing explosive demonstrations at the World's Fair and was like, I want to do a movie about you. And that's about it. Well, then the plot is loosely based on a book that was called, like, An Alternative to Gravity, a Diversion of Gravity, something like that. I don't remember. It's The Something of Gravity.
Right.
Yeah, it's just not the most interesting story ever. Like, if I remember correctly, in The Absent-Minded Professor, there's a scene of him trying to get, like, shareholders to invest in his work, and he's so boring and terrible at presenting things that by the time he actually gets the flubber out, everyone's left. Sadly, that scene was not carried over into this one. It should have been Kickstarter, you know?
I'm so fucking upset right now.
At the movie or
Yeah.
anything? Okay. Do you know that Weibo is voiced
I
by
thought he was
Jodie
like,
Benson?
yeah, gonna
No?
work out
Who
some
the
shit on
hell's
the
that?
pod.
She's Ariel from The Little Mermaid.
Ah,
In
fuck!
every single appearance.
I'm sorry, Queen. Please don't. Please definitely don't hurt me in response to that. I definitely wouldn't want Ariel to hurt me or anything.
No, she's gonna hurt you. She's gonna hurt you now. She's gonna pull out her flub.
Oh yeah.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, so fucking
Is this actually still okay? Good. We've only been going for 8 minutes. I'm just gonna point that out.
yeah.
It's gonna be painful.
Let me read from my notes. Seems like Weibo is only here so that they can play Disney movie references to keep the audience entertained.
How?
Yeah, that's.
What did they? Did they just pay for the Simpsons license to use the Simpsons footage?
I'm
on Disney
pretty sure.
Plus?
Yeah.
Or maybe
Well, I
this
mean, I
very-
know they
there's
paid for
very
it
few-
initially.
There's like very few other licensed clips, I think, that aren't just in the public domain.
Yeah, I
you
guess
know,
you're right.
or that already belong to Disney, because this was a Disney
Yeah.
film. So
Yeah.
a lot of that they're just pulling from the backlog. And yeah, it's especially egregious when it's like it's that scene before Weibo goes and talks to the love interest character Sarah, and she just plays a clip of that soap opera she was watching. I think it's a soap opera. It might have been a movie. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But she just plays it and no one's listening, and it's like, audience, this is a callback. Do you remember when film was on TV?
I do, actually.
Do you?
And it was...
Did you not tattoo it on your body?
It was bad.
Man, enthalpy is weird. So is entropy.
I like the part where he goes, "Good night, weeb." You know?
And
'Cause
what?
he says goodnight weed. Short for...
I thought your mic cut out and you were gonna continue.
No. That's the only thing I liked about this whole movie.
I like that.
That and the part where Clancy Brown is like, I'm gonna steal your fiancé. I thought that was kind of funny.
That wasn't.
Yeah,
that wasn't
fucking
Clancy
villain.
Brown.
The fucking
wait.
villain's just like,
That was Christopher
yeah,
McDonald.
I'm the bad
fuck,
guy.
it's
Here's all the
fucking
shit I'm
crackers.
gonna
Clancy,
do.
yeah,
Mixed
Clancy
up.
Brown's the goon.
Right.
That was really fun and entertaining when the movie told me which character was the bad guy and what he was gonna do in the movie.
Well, I thought you
in the
liked
first,
that,
like, 5
Ryan.
minutes.
I thought
Yeah,
you were
didn't
into that
you-
explicit stuff.
I thought you did like that part.
I do like that very simplistic style. Yeah.
Well, I suppose what did you like about the movie other than the nostalgia, Ryan, or was that the only aspect that you still appreciate to this day?
I mean, like, viewing it, like, just as, like, a regular-ass, like, whatever, like, family Disney movie, it's not, like, if it's, because we kind of are, like, film nerds, I guess I would describe ourselves.
Not me,
We
especially.
watch a decent amount of movies, and we, like, appreciate, like, the higher art of them, but I can guarantee you, like, most of our family just doesn't give a shit about that, and when they want to watch a movie, they just want to be entertained, like, a little bit and not think about it for a while.
But this
So, like,
doesn't. There's nothing here. It's just like raw fucking.
It's
A
not like
situation of gravity.
depressive
That's what it's
energy.
called.
Is all that this? It's just fucking like, damn, movies are really a bad artistic medium. Like, that realization is the only aesthetic this entire fucking film has. It makes.
I mean,
like,
yeah, there's way more
fucking-
bad movies than there are good, for sure. But
You're not really understanding the gravity of what I'm saying. This
I mean, it is a
transcends the
situation
concept
of
bad
gravity.
movies.
That's the name of the book. I just looked it up.
good. Situation of gravity.
I don't even know what he invents in that because I have
This
not
is a
read it nor
void.
even looked at it.
This is a void that consumes all around it.
I see. Oh, sounds like my neighbors have come back to roost.
It's a roost. What?
Have you
Do you not know
never
what
heard
that
that expression
means?
before? You stupid fuck. I'm sorry.
No.
Ryan.
Yes,
I'm
my
taking out
neighbors
my
are
anger on you.
birds. They fly and flap their wings when they go to work. They make sounds
Yeah,
like this.
exactly.
They go like that. They sound like Marge.
There's this Magic Ant guys.
Oh yeah, the flying men. I think.
I like that scene.
Oh, go on.
I like that scene where the two goons are like going to investigate Robin Williams' house, and then the one guy gets hit with the golf ball, and then the other guy gets hit with the fucking bowling ball like multiple times, and it should like kill him instantly, but he just kind of jumps up and falls down.
We are dealing with magic, and I think realistically speaking, I'm not a physicist, but if the flubber was like it I don't know, like the instant
I suppose it
anything
would
is
just
struck,
bounce
anything that's coated in flubber and then is struck against something, it would feel the impact of the reaction if it was building up fast enough. It wouldn't just continuously bounce. Like, that's not how that would work. Like, the shock of the reaction, unless Newtonian physics is incorrect, and the idea of every action having an equal and opposite reaction just isn't real, you know, then the bowling ball wouldn't have broken, then the golf ball would have survived that fucking huge impact.
Which is funny that you mentioned Newton, because he literally, like, 10 minutes after that scene, he throws an apple at the guy's head, and he's like, he says something about Newton.
He says Sir Isaac.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
I guess the sound of
that's
you
what he's known
screaming while I
for.
was giving you the wedgie was still too loud. So
Nice. Because
I
that's
should have
what
put on closed captioning for you.
that's what Isaac Newton did. Is he invented apples? Everyone knows.
He did.
Wasn't he the founder of Apple? I think he was.
He was the guy. He looked at cyanide. And he's like, I bet I could make a fruit out of this. using reverse engineering technology.
Yep.
And then he did.
Potassium cyanide. And, yep, just let me take a thing of flubber, I'll put it in my car, and now it can fly for reasons.
Yeah, he just invents flight by putting flubber in the car, which
Well, there is like
doesn't...
It's Saganium. It's some radioactive isotope that he puts in there with it, which apparently excites the flubber in a more linear direction that he says in the film. This is pseudoscience, so at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, but it's still fucking wacky. That we needed to introduce,
Wacky
like,
crazy.
radiation.
That's all. Guys, let's do the Flubber Mambo, which was apparently an originally created piece for this movie, when they could have just played regular Mambo. Danny Elfman created a whole song
I mean, the
for the Flubber
song...
Mambo.
I mean, the song isn't bad. It's the sequence is. I'm not gonna pin the blame on Danny Elfman here. I'll
Yeah,
pin the
for
blame
some
on
reason,
whoever thought it was a good idea to have a 3D dance sequence with the flubber.
I mean, that is the sequence that stuck out the most from my memory.
Because of trauma.
And I figured the movie would have a lot more of like the actual little green slime character of Flubber than just Robin Williams using it and all these
Well,
different
no, because the green
application
slime
ways.
character like isn't actually cute. Like every time it's on camera, it's like trying to act like it's cute or something or funny, but it just sucks. And there's that scene where it's like mimicking the woman's ass or something. And it's
Yeah,
like,
that was
what
the weird. That was one of
What?
the weirdest parts, cause
is this? It
like
can't-
the
it's-
idea, like I don't know what the fuck. I think Robin Williams' character's name is Brainerd. I don't know what the
Philip
hell.
Brainerd.
Thank you. I don't know what the hell like he was doing to make this. Apparently he was just trying to make a substance that produces more energy than it outputs, which should theoretically solve all the world's energy problems. I don't know why you'd market a flying car to Ford, but whatever. He apparently creates the first non-organic life form, according to humans. Unless you want to count viruses,
Yeah.
but they've got RNA in them. Like this, or other than the organic catalyst, which I believe catalysts are consumed in chemical reactions, so the hair that he throws in shouldn't have persisted. But was he intending to create a life form, or was it just, I wanted to make a substance, a goo? Because in The Absent-Minded Professor, that's all it is it's just a goo. It doesn't have a character.
Yeah.
That's why it's so
from what
weird in this version that they decided to give it life. If
Yeah.
only it was orange, then Dunk could have more bits about how it's actually LCL.
Yeah, that would be.
It's usually you that reaches for the LCL first, and then
Well,
I'll follow it up with
I was
something
excluding
about how-
myself because you're more of an Ava nerd than I am.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm obsessed with it, but like, I don't know if that would be in a nerd way or more in like a pretentious. Hey, I know
No,
what
I'm
the
not.
best
I'm
piece
not.
of art
I'm
ever
not
made is.
ascribing any level of pretentiousness to it. I just mean nerd in more of the
No,
sense that
I'm calling myself pretentious.
Oh, well, there you go.
I think it's a good aesthetic descriptor for my whole bit usually, because I don't think using it as a strictly negative adjective really holds water.
like the Flubber does.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, but like this guy, there's no way he could actually do this experiment. Because I get that the bit is that
No.
he's like absent-minded as shit, but he knows everything about like abstract science. And it's like, but you still have to like be aware enough of your surroundings to carry out the fucking experiment and apply all of those concepts in ways that you don't destroy and sabotage the fucking experiment. And the character clearly is incapable of doing that.
That's why he's
With
a
the level
mad
of
scientist.
fucking incompetence he shows in every encounter. I kind of just wanted him to die.
This is what happens when you max intelligence and min charisma.
RPGs would probably be more interesting if some of what is delegated to intelligence was split with charisma. Where
For a
it's
second,
like,
I thought you were talking about Dunk, not the fucking.
where it's like you're not even able to like really understand all of the things you know because your interpersonal skills are so bad that it's like more than just being interpersonal skills. It's like being present and like grounded in reality at all. That would be cool.
I would ascribe that more traditionally to something like wisdom, which is
Yeah.
more being attuned to your surroundings. But the idea behind stats in RPGs is that they're all, at least, even though they're rigid divisions of what they do mechanically, they are all still somewhat connected because they're all tied to a single entity. And they all interact with
Right.
each other.
Well, yeah,
Like the words intelligence and wisdom throughout history have been used almost interchangeably for the most part.
Yeah. And then you have situations where you have a skill check that requires like strength or something in a CRPG, but when you have that level of strength, your character is like able to eloquently explain the concept as a result of that strength, even if your character is also like mentally retarded and addicted to 73 psychoactive substances. It's not a multifaceted check, is what I'm saying. Anyway,
Because at the end of the day, they're not an amoeba and operating purely on instinct.
yeah. I'm
unlike
trying
the
so
Flubber.
hard to get sidetracked into RPGs or literally anything else.
I could tell.
because
I could tell.
It's
There's a
this is
fucking-
an
That was the
unfortunate-
gasping for air as you're slowly sinking more and more into
This
a
is an
vat of green
unfortunate
goo.
choice for the podcast because, like, you can't keep choosing like these mediocre Disney movies because we won't have jack shit to talk about.
we usually do better than this, to be fair. But like I've gotten to the point where I know better than to like get actually angry at something like that. Like I have to just sort of distance myself from it and be like, hey, nothing's actually real. There is no reality. Everything's just carefully manufactured delusions, and nothing can hurt you except the crippling void of existence. Is
There's
the only
plenty
thing
to-
capable of inflicting pain upon you spiritually.
I think there is plenty to talk about. The physics surrounding the Flubber, for one. The idea of a man who manages to fail to go to his wedding not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times.
Yeah,
4
but
times.
because he needs the robot, and the robot loves him.
To be fair, the third time he did create the artificial life for the first time, so that's kind of.
Well, it wasn't
Yeah,
even
but he
just
had
that.
already forgotten anyway. It wasn't going to happen.
It wasn't even that. It was, I think, more importantly, the substance that defies entropy, because it manages to maintain a constant output and increase in kinetic energy while maintaining maintaining the heat in its internal structure. None of that energy is lost as heat, which is what entropy is.
Which means it'll be a dream substance for decades, and we fix our energy problems and make the world
Literally
a much better
solve
place.
most energy problems, at least
But
when it comes
then-
to the fossil
Assuming
fuel
that-
problem.
Then in a couple
That's assuming that
centuries,
the powers that be would use that for good for the people.
okay, yes, but
Not
in a
just
couple
for
of
it.
centuries,
But this
we
isn't
would-
a cartoon world. That's probably what would happen.
I guarantee you, my hypothetical is more interesting than either of you guys' points right now. So please shut up and listen. But then, in a couple centuries, we will find out that the Flubber has been getting its supposed infinite supply of energy by slowly sapping our souls and life force without us realizing it. Because energy can't be created. It has to be
Oh, so
from
it's
somewhere.
it's like Dark Souls in a way.
Yeah. But even though we know that energy isn't created, it happens, and we're still like, "Whoa, we fixed it, dude!" And we don't even realize that we're not smart enough to realize that it's too good to be true.
Well, in that scenario, what would it be draining? Like, would it just be
Well,
draining the life forces of those in contact with it, or is it a much wider scale of
yeah.
the life force of humanity?
I'm
Maybe it's
basically
just radioactive.
suggesting that this is the event that introduces us to a greater dimension of understanding, or at least like, gives us an inkling of a greater dimension of understanding, because it like sort of the universal sapping of energy as a whole begins to deconstruct the idea that there are even boundaries or lines between anything at all. It's like from the perspective of an external deity who does not see those divisions that we've crafted for ourselves in our perceptions. It's just an amorphous blob of flubber.
So
We
what
are
you're
the
saying
flubber.
is Flubber is Gygus.
Oh man, now I'm thinking about a recursive world where like flubber is the universe, and then in the universe the guy creates flubber and then creates another. It just sort
I
of
don't remember
infinitely.
where I read it, but that is a posited theory of quantum physics in some sense. And I mean, you see it repeated in cartoons all the fucking time.
Yeah. I mean, it does make sense from a quantum physics standpoint, since it's like we basically know that universes can spawn, essentially.
Well,
It's
we have
just,
no
like,
idea. As far as I know, we still don't have any idea what like the Higgs boson shit is and the existence of the God quote unquote particle.
Yeah, dude, quantum physics rocks.
Quantum physics.
Yeah,
Quantum
it's pretty
physics is
sick
cool.
that shit's real.
Y'all should read about it.
We should. I look at the. I always tell you about this, but I look at the fucking timeline of the far future on Wikipedia, and I'm like, this is the hype as shit.
I wouldn't use Wikipedia. I'd use WikiBooks.
Well,
'Cause
yeah,
it
but
uses it uses similar information, but it's laid out a lot cleaner.
well,
It
part of
makes
the
more
appeal
sense.
is seeing the dumb, like hyper simplified timeline, where it's like it's just a normal timeline, and then at the very bottom of it is 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 10 to the etc. And then it just says like the fucking new universes will spawn using quantum tunneling or some shit, and it's like hell yes, dude.
Yeah, like
Then
this
just
is
have that
metal.
image pulled up on your other monitor while you're reading it.
BioShock Infinite,
I'll just use both of my eyeballs to read different articles at the same
which
time.
is
So you're a
it's the
chameleon.
only place I've seen.
I wish.
That was the first time I heard about quantum physics was BioShock Infinite of all fucking places.
That's.
You mean the easily the least intelligent BioShock game, which is saying something because BioShock 2 isn't particularly intelligent either.
What an
It's
odd
really
place
kinda
to
just
hear
the
about.
I
first
mean,
one.
it's intelligent to like the layman, but I do think BioShock 1 is way more interesting and smarter.
I don't know. I need to play it again because it might have a point, but I remember feeling that BioShock 2 was like, what if we addressed this concept from the opposite angle? And like that was the entire concept behind it, was like, what if it was like socialist unity instead of libertarian individualism, and it was just like the same plot beats transplanted on, and it's like the fact that you play as a Big Daddy was more of like a gameplay novelty than something that actually had.
I thought for a second you were
purpose.
talking about BioShock Infinite when you said we change it to be socialistic instead of libertarian. I'm like, that's a bit soft describing.
Yeah, I haven't played enough of Infinite to really describe, but I feel like part of the problem with Infinite is that it's trying to be political like the first two, but it's a complete fucking mess and has no like consistency to it. It like from what I have seen of it, it just seems like really all over the place. Whereas, say what you want about 1 and 2, it's to their benefit and to their detriment, really. But they do a very good job of maintaining like consistent ideological symbolism. It just meant more in the first one when like there was a reason for it being that ideology, and that ideology informed that setting, and everything made sense, and it wasn't just like, let's make another good game with these same ingredients.
That is something that it almost kind of cheapens the effect when it feels like the same place, even though it's a different setting and it's different themes.
Yeah.
I haven't played Infinite either. I don't have much exposure to BioShock as a whole, but I know the major differences between them. And I know Infinite seems to be a lot more, I don't want to say surface level, but I don't know, the race allegory is just, I don't find it very interesting.
Yeah, and
It's
Yeah.
just
I
like,
think it is more
we're an
surface
all-white community, see? It's like
And
a
I think
suburb
it's-
in the 1950s. The
And I
only
think
black
it's-
the only black I've got is in the fireplace, son.
it's much less clever too, because the reason Rapture is an enrapturing setting, but is because it's not
Zing.
it's not the 50s. It's not where Ayn Rand lived. It's like the conclusion of that ideology. It's a fantastical setting that's the extension.
That's why it
Of,
works
like,
in like Fallout
literature.
too.
It's like,
Right.
where would these ideas go if they were continued in the real world? Yeah.
If it was just the suburbs carbon copied and put in the sky, it would not. It would be fucking worthless.
Yeah,
actually.
it is way
So-
lamer. Like it feels like 2K like saw like the BioShock 1 and how it was just all an underwater city and with like some political shit, and it's like, well, we'll do it like that, but it's in the sky now.
That wasn't
Isn't that
2K.
so clever and cool?
That was Irrational Games.
Yeah, developer.
It's published by 2K, but
And I say that out of
or
respect
no, was
to
it published by
Irrational.
2K?
I think it was, but
Yeah, it was
say that.
definitely at 2K.
I say that out of respect to Irrational because even though I don't really care for that game, they still made the game, whereas 2K has contributed nothing of value to anything ever, and all they've done is ruin good things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that first draft that was like in like 2010 or whenever, like that very, very, very first trailer of BioShock Infinite and the first gameplay trailer would have been leagues better than what we got. Like even just gameplay wise, it looks so much more interesting.
How often has that happened? I mean, not even when it's just for a really obvious reason, like Watch Dogs or Colonial Marines, but like, I don't know.
Has what happened?
Like E3 trailer being better, or like an earlier trailer
Oh well,
being
Dead
better.
Island.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's like
the
that's like the textbook case because everyone saw that trailer
God.
and just turned off their brains and was like, "This game's going to be amazing," even though it was pre-rendered and didn't show any gameplay.
I feel like Dead Island is more willfully misleading its initial trailer than like maybe even Colonial Marines
Yeah.
was.
Dead
Because,
Island
like-
makes it look like it's gonna be like a Last of Us sort of like story thing. It's like a sad, whatever the fuck. But it's just we're on this island and there's zombies, man. Holy shit!
Because I imagine
gotta
that the
fucking-
developers of Colonial Marines were like probably wanted to make a good game, but it's like when Randy Pitchford shows up and it's like, hey, here's what's left of your fund after I took out some for my Borderlands, and it's a fucking dime and a paperclip in the jar. I mean, it's like, what are you going to do? It comes out in 2 months, by the way.
I find the Dead Island trailer to be more nefarious than the
Yeah.
Colonial Marines one.
Yeah.
God,
At the
that
very
game
least,
was
like
bad,
on its own,
dude.
it's a lot.
Now I'm thinking about how fucking garbage Dead Island was. Like,
Oh yeah.
I just
Remember the Flubber cameo in Dead Island? That was weird.
Yeah, definitely remember that.
Fuck. You know what? Fuck Flubber. We're talking about fucking.
Well,
Oh, what?
this-
Now you're on this boat? Now you're on this boat?
Yes!
Weren't you the one who
Because-
who was fucking complaining that we divert for like a little bit? It was like,
Well, no, I'm good at this because
that's what you sound like.
Yeah.
I just. Yeah. I like how we
trailed off.
naturally evolved into it though, instead of just.
That's how it always goes. It's always natural. It's just still kind of a non sequitur. Because that's what happens when you talk to people that you have multiple shared interests with, is that it's more likely you'll naturally segue into something that isn't actually that relevant to what you're talking about.
Yes.
You fucking idiot. I'm just kidding.
A chair.
Very
There we go.
fucking idiot.
I'd recommend Bioshock 1 and 2. 2 mostly for gameplay, but both are good games. But Soy, you gotta play System Shock 2. It's more important, I think, generally. It's a higher priority
Well, yeah, System Shock
transmission.
2 in particular inspired a lot more works. Like both Bioshock and Deus Ex, I believe, took a lot of cues from that, and even more from like a lot of other people. It is amazing how many good ideas Looking Glass Studio had, and then they were summarily destroyed.
It's pretty crazy how like consolidated
Like coming up
good
with
ideas
Thief,
were.
coming
Yeah.
up with both the Thief games and System Shock is like, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but then you also have like
I-
Black Isle, and it's like all that shit was from the same motherfuckers. Are you sure?
Or like what? Or like Westwood. You know,
Uh-huh.
that's the company behind Dune 2, and
Yeah.
like I think also the Aladdin game on Genesis. I know I've said that before.
Well, that's what
Uh,
happens when an artistic medium is in its infancy, ultimately, and isn't that corrupted as of yet. It's only like minimally corrupted, and
Yeah,
it's
video
not
games got
corrupting in
corrupted
a.
real fucking quick.
I mean, it was
Capitalism got to
corrupted
that
even
shit
before.
in
It
like
was
20
always
years.
corrupted. Like before the video game crash, of course, it was fucking corrupted.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like,
I was directing it more at Ryan than anything.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I believe that any business or market-based system is corrupted on some level, with varying degrees of significance based on context. But I mean, right now, from an aesthetic perspective, it's in a really bad spot of corruption because there's like few redeeming qualities for the current tide of things.
Well, it's just because, unlike way back when in the late 70s, early 80s, when game companies weren't game companies, they were just a software department that was a part of a larger company. It's not. It's different corporate problems, basically. Because rather
Right.
than, people not knowing anything about video games and thinking it's a passing fad and just saying, all right, do whatever you want, this is going to die. Now
Mhm.
it's people seeing the money in it and recognizing, oh, this is even more lucrative than like films at this point.
Yeah.
And now, because of all the money that's been made, you have these massive corporations, and then you have these power-hungry individuals who are at the head of them, who care only about themselves to the detriment of the company. Oh yeah, we'll hire contractors that will work 80 hours a week to work on our subpar fighting game, Mortal Kombat X.
Well, that's hey man, that's their business. We're not treating the employees bad. We're just deliberately hiring the sweatshops because
Yeah,
of
we're
course
not-
they're also the cheapest people to hire at all
Well, yeah,
times.
because they're not employees, so they don't count.
It's not on us, man.
We don't have to
Whatever
give
they're
them
doing over there
benefits. We don't
in
have to give them
fucking-
benefits if we only hire them for a year.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? It just makes me think of like, it's somewhat related, but it's not entirely related. But that one Crowcat video that's just like what is it? It's Bungie versus 343. That discussion. Have y'all seen that?
No, but I've seen the thumbnail before.
No.
It's really interesting. I mean, it's tangentially related to what I'm talking about, but not entirely in terms of like corporate mismanagement. But you have entirely, like, even 10, like almost 20 years ago at this point, like, it's kind of incredible how much the attitude towards video games has shifted to be more of like a movie business. Like, you listen to the way that the Halo 3 devs, or I think the video that they were showing off was Halo 2, but the Bungie devs, and you listen to the way that they talk about the game, and it's immediately a lot more insightful than what the stupid fucking new hipster guys at 343 are talking about, where it's like, well, we wanted Master Chief to become more of a human. We wanted to make his character more relatable. We needed to know who was behind the mask.
Good idea.
We needed to
dude.
ask ourselves that we needed to acknowledge what kind of content there was going to be available after release. And then you hear from the Bungie guys, and it's like, an environment and an enemy have to both be fun to fight before they're visually interesting.
Yeah.
15 years apart. 15 years apart.
You can skip the visually interesting bit a lot more than you would think if they're actually like an engaging adversary, because then it's like you're too busy dicking around with your shit to even be concerned about the fact that they're just like another grunt or something.
Well, yeah, because that's the point, is that a lot of what makes up good video game design, like what makes up a good magic show, or even a good film, is the stuff that you don't see, but it's
Yeah.
the stuff that you purely experience.
And of course it's
Like the natural, like, I was talking about this the other day with someone, like the way that the levels happen in Earthbound. Like, that's one of the things that people almost never talk about in the way that game is good. They always talk about the same, like, 5 things. Like, oh, the writing's good.
it's so
The-
weird.
It's so weird, except not really. I mean, it is, but uh, but the fact that that game's combat and the way that level ups happen and how you can fight encounters, like the rate at which they all happen, it feels very natural. It's a very clean, like, increase in difficulty, and that's almost never talked about because it's not something you can pin down to one thing. Like, oh, well, that was because of X mechanic, you know, the dynamic health leveling system or whatever. It's something that took a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of skill to do.
Well, the fact that that fucking Onion article guy wouldn't pick up on that or know to say that is in a way symptomatic of how true it actually is, because it's not intrusive. It doesn't show itself to you and be like, hey, look at this thing that I'm doing right now.
Subtlety.
Look at this thing that's yeah, it's
like the way that the worlds gradually expand in Banjo-Kazooie, how they start off relatively small. And you don't think that they're small, but when you look back on them in comparison to the other levels, it's like, damn, that was actually really big. Subtlety.
Yeah. It's...
Makes you think. It doesn't happen in 2E because all the levels are fucking huge.
I think, like,
we need a jingle on the show whenever we talk about Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah. Boom, doo 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 doo.
It'll be. I was thinking like the jingle that you get when you pick up health, like on the banjo.
Oh yeah, that's good. I was thinking about getting a soundboard, but I'm too lazy to actually set that up, so probably won't happen.
Yeah, it's weird. You got to use virtual audio cable or something.
I feel like
for this,
the point
for this podcast,
the exact point. I'm tempted to say that the point where video games died, and I don't mean literally died because they're still great games, obviously. You fucking idiots who are listening to this podcast and think I'm being literal. You fucking idiot. Okay.
I didn't actually hear it because your mic cut out.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, fucking God damn it. I think the exact moment when video games died, so to speak, metaphorically, somewhat, was when people started like picking atomized, out of context systems and mechanics and turning those into trends and then marketing based on. Like, I feel like the furthest I can trace. I feel like the furthest I can trace the thread back is when people were like, "We've got destructive environments, man. The game has destructive environments," and it was like, "Oh shit, no way." And I remember being a kid and be like, "I love destructive environments." But when you buy a game because it has destructive environments, guess why you're playing it now? You're playing it in this like detached, like pre-appreciative, that's not a word, but I'm making it one, like clinical detachment where you're assessing how good of a destructive environment playground it's functioning as. And it's like you're hyper aware to how fucking meaningless and vapid the other components are. Because the only reason you're playing this fucking thing is because you want a destructible environment. You want to break something with a hammer.
Well, yeah, it's about selling a piece rather than the whole, you know? It's almost like the way that films have become, where it's just, this is a part of the MCU, or this is a part of the DCU.
There's a very small 2-minute callback to Captain Marvel at the 45-minute mark.
Where someone hits a fucking old lady on a bus and
so
then
go
falls
and
into a
see
blockbuster.
This movie that has essentially the same play-by-play fucking plot as the Captain Marvel movie, because it's just the same goddamn, the world is in danger and we must save it. But this one has a reference to the last one you saw. So it'll make
it's so funny.
A connected, valuable experience that adds up to something instead of just seeing the same movie 200 different times. I promise.
Wait, what?
I guarantee it.
These guys used to be Blue Sky Productions, the guys behind Vector Man.
Wow.
No wonder they're so good.
Hell yeah, dude.
When is Soul coming back to video games?
I mean, never,
Soul.
to answer your question, because it's never.
You think refuge would be found in the indie dev, but
I mean,
I feel like even
No,
then,
I think it is in a lot of them. Hollow
it's
Knight
got to
is a
be. The
great
problem is that it's got to be like
Disco.
it's this weird thing where now you have to be elitist about indie games because they suck, because they got too popular with like Braid and shit, and now
with
like
Fez. Was Fez
I mean,
first or was Braid first?
Braid was way first. I'm pretty sure Braid was like
Okay.
2011 or something.
I'd like to think Braid was first because it's better and it was made by
It is
a
better.
better person.
Jonathan Blow, not a good person. I guess better.
I mean, he's
than
better
the
than
Fez
fucking
guy,
Phil Fish.
But I don't know if I would really be wanting to draw comparisons here. I'd rather just throw them both in the trash, even though I like Blow's games. But
Speaking of which, I wonder how what the fuck is Phil Fish even like doing now?
Well, nothing. Remember when he retired? He just
that was
quit
good.
the games
That was a good
industry.
bit.
I wasn't really like when that Gamergate shit was happening. I wasn't like old enough to like or knowledgeable enough to be like aware of what the fuck was going on. So I just heard something about Phil Fish said something bad about woman or whatever, and then he didn't make a video game again. And I was like, well, I wonder why the guy hasn't made a game again.
I thought the reason he didn't make a video game again was because people kept telling him that Fez was bad.
Well, yeah,
Because
that was it. It didn't have anything to do with Gamergate. I mean, I think he had opinions on it, but the reason why he canceled Fez 2, if it was even in development, I don't even know if it was, and he just quit just so he could make a big stink out of it, and then no one really cared afterwards in a pseudo publicity stunt. Because I think people were criticizing his work and then talking about Fez 2, and he's just like, oh, I guess I'm not going to make it anymore. But the funniest thing about Phil Fish is the fact that he was born. You want to know what his real name is? Because that's not his real name.
Kilgore
Tell
Trout.
me.
No, it's Philippe Poisson.
Oh wow, that's good.
That's your handle now, Phil Fish.
I haven't played Fez, but Soy tells me it's bad, and Soy is very rarely wrong.
I like the style of it, but it looks fucking weird and obtuse.
To be fair, I never finished it, but from what I've played of it, I didn't have a whole lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, isn't the final puzzle like ridiculous and stupid and
I'm
like
not just mindlessly
not even like solvable in a
you,
fun
by
way?
the way. I'm still like I would still wait to play it to have an opinion of my own, but I'm not excited about playing it when someone who's usually a good judge on whether or not a puzzle game is good or not.
I mean, the problem that I had with it was just that it didn't have any staying power.
Yeah.
It's not that I hated any particular element. Like, the graphical styling was fine. I thought the puzzle mechanics were okay. I wasn't sure about the QR code shit. That was weird. Like, the overall aesthetic was fine, and it played well, but I just didn't ever really want to go back to it, you know?
Wait, the game, like, breaks the fourth wall and makes you scan QR codes?
No, I forget exactly what it is, but it makes... I don't think it makes you do that, but there's these weird pseudo QR codes that you have to solve for a puzzle, and you don't have to, from what I remember, I don't think I got far enough for the QR codes, but like the QR code stuff, it's mostly just, okay, put it together, and then if you want to scan it, you can.
Oh, yeah.
I think. I could be totally wrong on that, but the QR code stuff isn't until later.
God damn it. Now I'm thinking about Mankind Divided and how much worse that game is just because of the fucking triangle things and like all the dumb little shit where it's like...
That's an interesting jump. Because I know next to nothing about Mankind Divided other than...
Really?
I know the surface level stuff, but... I mean, I know of its
good.
existence and such, but I haven't played it.
Overall, it's pretty good. It's just... the problems are glaring. I don't know how much you liked Human Revolution. I think you're generally positive on it, but it's basically more of the same in that regard. And I've said before, and I'll say again, that one of the DLCs for it is probably...
Oh, no. Yep, you got to scan the QR code to solve the puzzle.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Thanks,
That's
Fish.
fucking
Thanks,
Stupid.
Phil Fishy Pussy. Appreciate
It
it.
reads
That's
right
such-
trigger, left trigger,
why-
right trigger, blah blah blah. It's just a whole bunch of triggers.
Why? That's
Is
such a
it-
lazy fucking way of designing your puzzle. That's so shit.
Well, I mean, it'd be one thing if it was like a postmodern game.
Yeah, if it was addressing some greater aspect in relation to the media rather than the game itself, but it's just there and you
Yeah,
have to
it's
scan
just-
it and that's the solution unless you already know the solution of the
It's
pro-
just
to
like
the
a
puzzle.
fun. It's a stupid little gimmick.
It's a stupid gimmick that is like trying to create difficulty by picking an incredibly easily solved thing from a different sphere and then just sort of like bridging it to the game instead of like building a puzzle in your game world. It's really impossibly lame.
Yeah, my problem with it is that it's not like a puzzle at all, you know?
No.
There's no aspect of mystery to it. There's no aspect of solving it that is any greater than going to the App Store and downloading an app that decodes QR codes.
Either you recognize that it's a QR code and you do that, or you don't and you look it up and then you do that. Those are the only... That's it. It's really good. No, but I maintain that the second best piece of Deus Ex Media, and I haven't seen everything. Mostly, I only read one of them.
You haven't read
so I'm not
Deus
gonna
Fall,
do
the
others.
Deus Ex the Fall book? Oh, wait, no, you did, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I did read that. Although, like, yeah, I did read that one because it's about the dumb fucking Saxon guy or whatever. Yeah, it was bad. It was a shitty book, which is why I'm not going to read the rest. But anyway, there's a DLC for Mankind Divided that's like a prison break thing, and it's fucking awesome.
It's where you
It's way
escape
better.
from Butcher Bay.
It has a lot of similar elements to it, which is why I like it. But it's more open than Butcher Bay, which I like also.
Did you know that the name Medfield comes from Medfield, Massachusetts, which is a town where Walt Disney liked to vacation?
No.
Fun fact. Continue.
Wow.
Anyway, the prison DLC is awesome. I think it's got better design than... it's hard to compare it to Human Revolution because of the difference in scale, but I'm tempted to say that I in general, like the design better than even Human Revolution. So I'm really positive on that. And if you wanted to just play that, you could probably do it without... It's kind of mostly disconnected from this context of Mankind Divided because it's like a flashback sequence. So like it'll start and you're like, who's this? But then it'll get into the flashback sequence and it's like, it doesn't matter.
They don't matter.
Anyway, it's just really good because it's like it plays to the strengths of that kind of game to have you as a prisoner disarmed and also without a straight line out of the prison, because like those are the two places to get caught up, or like the main place to get caught up in doing something like that is be like, okay, now there's one very specific way out of the prison that you now have to follow.
Wait, don't you start with like a QR code in your pocket or something that if you scan, you get the lockpick?
Yeah, yep.
That's for the DLC, I think. If you get the, if you pay, what is it, $2.99 for the lockpick skip?
That's right.
Oh man, that would be fucking
Paid speedrunning skips, dude. Very. I mean, I guess that's just like amiibos.
Is it?
There are a lot of Switch games that like the main any percent category is no amiibos, and then there's like a miscellaneous category for any percent with, because it actually saves time to use them, and it's like I think like most speedrunning boards know that it's not good to have the main category be pay to win, so they don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
just
kinda
didn't
fucked.
think. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone would believe that earnestly, unless
The
the
future
speedrun.
of speed running is you have to buy the fucking world record.
I mean, I think probably that a category with no bar on that kind of thing should exist in the miscellaneous section, just for the sake of like
Well, just for
the
the
logical
intrigue.
extreme.
Yeah, just for the possibility. I mean, for something like that, it would almost be more archival, like in the way that you would read a professor's like research paper on a series of experiments that they did. you would watch
Yeah.
a speed run and vicariously experience the sense of playing through a game fast, but also I'm using amiibos to make it go even faster, which is interesting.
It's
I mean,
just
I don't know how many games implement amiibos. My only experience is Mario Odyssey. You get extra outfits, and then
yeah, that's not.
I think in Mario Kart you get like extra racer outfits and stuff.
I know it
And
saved
then in
us.
Smash you get CPUs that you
Right.
train, quote unquote. Which
I know in
I
Breath.
guess I could see how that, if you're doing a speed run of like the whatever the story mode in Smash 4 is,
Yeah,
um,
I'll have to check. That might
it's like the
actually.
road. It's like the victory. It's not called Victory Road, but it's that weird board game thing.
World of Light or something. Isn't that what it's
No,
called?
that's in Smash Ultimate.
Oh, you're talking about Smash Four. No, I don't. I don't know about Smash
Yeah.
Four because I don't have a fucking Wii U. Lol.
Yeah,
LMAO.
Smash 4's single player was probably the worst out of all of them.
Really, World of Light's pretty fucking lacking.
I'd say they're
I've,
both
I mean, yeah,
not
but it's like a
great.
thing.
is
It's
it?
a thing.
Smash 4 had like little to no
I
fucking
guess
single
it's a
player
thing.
shit.
Yeah, I'll believe you, but
At least
god
you can
damn.
have a map and like a concept of like a video game in there.
I think
Well,
what
that's
bugs me
the
most.
same things in fucking Smash Ultimate though.
I think the thing
It's
that
something
really
very
bugs
similar.
me about Ultimate, about World of Light, is that none of the battles that they've laid out feel meaningful or significant. They all feel randomly generated. So why aren't they just randomly generated? It seems like you might as well just go the fucking extra mile at that point. It might add some fucking replayability to the experience.
Or just do what Melee did. Just have the adventure mode. That was alright.
That's fine if you really aren't going to go the extra mile and make a good campaign like Subspace, which I'm
I
guessing you're
mean,
not.
even I liked Melee's campaign. I didn't like it as much as Subspace because Subspace had the dumb fucking cutscenes
It rocks, dude.
where you get to see the likes of like Solid Snake sneaking aboard the Halberd. That makes
I
me want
really
to see a
wish.
fan game where it's Snake but in Kirby, but it has mostly the gameplay of MGS, which was kind of replicated in like a fan game, which is like Metal Gear Santa. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that.
I think I've heard
Never
of
heard
it.
of that.
Well, it's a Metal Gear game where you play as Santa and you're delivering presents. Instead of killing children by twisting their necks, you just throw candies at them. And you hide in a present box. And it's more like linear in terms of it's just mission by mission. So I guess it's more like VR missions, but with less singular objectives.
VR missions are good. In a way, I kind of prefer VR missions to like actual MGS campaigns
Why
because
would
they're
you say
so
that?
slow. I mean, just in general. Obviously, I would make an exception for two, but just like they're really slow with the large amounts of dialogue and exposition, and none of it is
Hmm.
particularly brilliant in terms of writing. In fact, a lot of it is kind of lacking, to be honest. Um, it just feels like the bursts of gameplay are never long enough relative to the large amounts of exposition that happen, especially when it's gameplay that's like so good and complex and like nuanced with so many options and is gameplay that is really kind of a slow burn, honestly. Like it gets better the more you mess around with it. For that to be constantly interrupted with like codec calls, it's like a weird cognitive dissonance.
It's like
I don't
Kingdom
know.
Hearts, but worse.
Much worse. Yeah.
I would almost draw a comparison between them because I think in those cases it's a scenario where you have two different people, Tetsuya Nomura and Hideo Kojima, or as that one Twitter exists, Hideous Kojima, which is pretty good.
Nice.
Um,
That sounds like his name in universe.
Instead of punish Kojima, you have hideous Kojima.
Right. Yeah.
Two people who didn't really work on story in games and mostly worked on one particular aspect. In one case, it's game design and programming, and in another, it's character design. And now they're, because of the impressive work that they've done, they are now at the helm of a major project, and they are essentially the driving force behind the story.
Yeah.
And they are not exceptionally that great at telling it. But people still love it, even in spite of that.
Well, even in like the sort of way the fandom is born and kind of exists is kind of similar, because it's a kind of like semi-ironic appreciation. If not semi-ironic, it's like knowing and apathetic about how stupid it is. Like, it's like a willingness to just
it's a guilty
be
pleasure.
Uncritical about, but it's in a way that's not just ignoring the stupidity, but like embracing it and sort of like,
I mean, I would say that still qualifies as calling it a guilty pleasure, because I mean, people watch The Room and they don't just ignore the bad dialogue. They don't just ignore the story. They love all the aspects of that.
But I guess, like, if we were talking about something where, like a situation where the story isn't that great, but the gameplay really is, I guess a possible situation would be you try to just ignore the story or avoid paying attention to it and then just focus on the good gameplay.
Unlike The Room, which most people say really doesn't have any actually good aspects to it that you would focus on, whereas with the game, you would try to focus solely on the gameplay if it was as you would define it as a guilty pleasure.
But that's not what happened with these franchises. It sort of like was so confident. They were so confident in their own existence that they spawned an endearing quality to them. And then it just sort of bypassed the part where they had good writing. Skipped right over it.
Well, it's because they had time travel and they knew that their projects would be successful.
True. You're right.
Multiverse theory doesn't exist.
The
fifth dimension does not exist.
In the case with Metal Gear, it's a little more complicated because I feel like Kojima, despite not being a writer and demonstrating that he's clearly not a writer on multiple occasions in most of the games he's worked on, he's also trying really hard to like maintain or build up this synchronicity between like very new games that have lots of new components from other newer games without like being too much in conflict with the vastly different MSX originals that he did like 30 years ago. He's like trying really hard to sort of balance these two incompatible plates that are spinning in wildly different patterns at the same time. And that almost, just the abstraction of that is almost fascinating enough on its own. Like, he's not a great writer, but he's also not a great writer who's somehow trying to unironically work in the codename Big Boss into a story because he wrote it in a dumb MSX game 30 years ago. And it's canon. And that, like, it seems incredibly difficult.
Yeah, because it's more deliberate than something like Toho, which takes a very laissez-faire approach to canon. Because there they basically say anything the fans make is canon. So because
which is the right answer, by the way.
So because some fan artists depicted one particular character, I forget the character's name, but they always wear a scarf. It's a really big scarf that covers like the entirety of their neck. One fan artist depicted them as like not having a neck and their head being taken off by another character. So because of the popularity of that idea, that's now canon, and that's been worked into later games.
Well, that's the fascinating metagame of the strategy of anything the fans make is canon, is that even though you say that, if someone makes something and nobody likes it,
yeah, how does that
it's
factor
not
in?
actually canon, because it can't be, because no one's going to acknowledge it. So it's I do honestly think that's the best way to handle something like that.
I mean, I think it's more of just it's selective at the end of the day, but what it really
But it
means is that
emerges.
the creators aren't going to get up in a tizzy if you
Yeah,
depict their characters in some way or if you use them in a fan game or something like that.
it's
That's
selective,
what it means at the end of the day, which
but
is
it
still
emerges
good.
more naturally than something like Disney saying, actually scrap the whole EU, but then we're still gonna just use stuff from the EU and like do it again
We're going to use the
because we like
concept of
it.
black people,
Yeah, and by that I mean we're gonna have Boyega set up to be important, but then we're just gonna
and then we're just
focus
going
in
to
on
drop him.
we're just gonna focus in on fucking spoiled rotten gentry protagonist
Talk about
the
actual white
entire trilogy.
privilege.
Yeah, literally, one
Like,
hundred
how is
percent.
no one?
They're still getting woke points, I guess, because she's a woman, even though she's the
'Cause
fucking
she's
daughter of like of
she's a gynoid.
literally like the ultimate bourgeoisie, like the absolute definition of like the fucking old decades old definition of bourgeoisie.
She's not even hot.
Not no. The entire like sexual attraction to her is out of like rage. Is out of like 4chan nerd rage. Although
Hate
that's
fucking.
usually actually misogyny, but still. Um, whatever. Synchronicity.
It's John
Yes.
Constantine's greatest ability.
Um,
Well, at least the magical form of synchronicity and not the overall concept. Isn't it great to
there,
just be able to create your own luck?
yeah.
Yeah.
There are.
Also, to sell your soul to 3 different high demons, and then none of them can actually foreclose on your soul. So they're just like, fuck it. But they're still obliged to protect you because they still want your soul. Genius.
My take at this point is that the only Star Wars stories I've experienced and are good are Empire in both KOTOR games.
And Flubber.
And I like the first Star Wars film more as world building than for the actual story of it. More of like establishing the setting and characters. Because the actual
Yeah.
story of it isn't particularly amazing.
I like all
First
of
Star
the
Wars, pretty
original
good.
trilogy. I think Return of the Jedi is probably my, I don't know, kind of flip-flops between 4 and 6 for which one I like. And then
Interesting.
I like the 5th one the most out of them. I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. I thought you were going to say that you flip between 4 and 6 for your favorite. And I was like, that's an interesting take.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, it does just kind of depend because narratively, I like the 5th one the most, but thematically and what the 6th film represented, just in terms of closure,
Yeah.
I liked a lot. The Ewoks I could take or leave, because that was
It'll
kind
make
of
you
the.
violently angry and hate filled.
Well, that was kind of. I think the reason why people hate them is because that was the start of the cynical. These were made to be toys.
Yeah.
Um,
And also the death of the darkness of Empire, which has never really come
Yeah.
back. Unless it happens in Rogue One, but I never saw it, so I don't know.
the most of it exists like at the start of episode 6, where, oh, I'm now a slave to this giant horrible slug
Right.
creature.
The just there's
They
no
cut out there's a lost cut of episode 6 that includes a rape scene. The only
Yeah.
cut of it exists is at the Skywalker Ranch.
yeah.
That's all Lucas has been doing for the
Which
past
there's
30
a-
years.
There's a giant, huge tunnel from Skywalker Ranch to Little St. James Island, underneath the body of water, whatever body of water slash.
Was he on those flight
ass.
logs? Oh no, he
I don't
wasn't
know.
because he was in the tunnel.
That's right, dude. That's right.
That's why so many people were never on the list, because they went through the tunnel. They went through.
Yeah.
What is
So
it?
you got to also check the Skywalker Ranch logs.
What is it? It's that train that goes between England and France. You know what I'm talking about? It's like that.
it's the English Channel is the body of water, isn't
Well, but
it?
there's
But
an
then there's
underground train that you can take.
right, yeah. I don't know the name of the train specifically.
It's the something train. But yeah, I imagine there's one of those that goes between. Or actually, no, it's a pork bean. That's actually what it is.
You got to the pork bean.
Yeah,
Nice. You really chewing through there.
I think the last thing I played was the box delivery. You want to know how long it took me?
25
24
minutes.
minutes.
Oh, you actually timed it?
Well, because he tells you if you talk to him.
Oh. Um. Yeah. Do you want me to? You want me to tell you how that
Yeah.
works, or I don't know. I don't want to tell you how it works. It's fine.
Well, actually, did it say 25? I don't remember. Does it always say 25? Is that the trick?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's no way to.
I
Yeah.
was wondering.
It's kind of brilliant, actually.
I mean, it makes sense that that wouldn't be a possible interaction between them because it's been entirely adversarial.
Yeah. Well, and
I
also
was
that he
thinking that
would.
in the back of my mind, but when he actually said it, I was like, "Oh, did that actually work?" Because I was comparing it based on the save time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I went down, saved, checked the time, and then went out. And then I think I timed it, and I actually did get around 25 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's your first time doing it, that's probably. I mean,
Took
I
me
think
forever to get to Isaac. I was like, oh yeah, he lives up by the
yeah.
fucking. He lives out in the path.
Yeah. Um, my favorite thing about that sequence, probably. Uh, do you know of? I'm going to go ahead and say this isn't really a spoiler because most of your interactions with it have already occurred. But do you know like the stash of present boxes in the train tunnel
Mm-hmm.
or like near it?
Yeah.
Um, did you get those by any chance?
Um, I think. Well, I got some of them. I didn't get all of them. I don't think because I remember I saw some of them, and then I was like, oh, I'll go park, and then I'll get out, and then I got trapped in the cutscene.
Oh yeah, no, I mean the from the crossroads, like the main crossroads near the village. If you go into the okay, well this isn't important or anything, but there's like a side path, sort of dead end tunnel with like
Okay, yeah, I definitely didn't go into that.
it's like a yeah it's not important, so I'll just tell you, but like there's a bunch of present boxes in there, and basically you can't get into that tunnel in chapter one and for most of chapter two, and then like when you go back out of the castle at daytime, or like when you come back and it's like being invaded um, by pork lords. Um, if you go into that tunnel, all the present boxes are already opened. Like someone already got there first.
Mm-hmm.
But in chapter three, there you have one opportunity, and it's while you're supposed to be delivering the boxes as fast as possible. If you go in there with salsa, you can get all of the boxes. Now,
Huh.
obviously, the boxes just have like really minor healing items that you probably don't even want because your inventory is probably already fucking
Well, yeah,
full to the
it's
brim anyway.
based on the structure of the game, at least thus far, that we've been switching from character to different character. That it wouldn't really make sense unless we are gonna go back to them that they would have any form of lasting reward.
Right.
That wouldn't come at least out of like a fucking regular present box
Yeah.
instead of the form of a key item.
So it's like it's not actually practically very useful, but I just like the conceptual interaction of um, if you don't get all these present boxes, someone else will, and your only time to get them is when you're supposed to be working as fast as possible as salsa and not off exploring the game world. So like the psychology of new players trying to go as fast as possible to get back in time and not even thinking about that dumb train tunnel, uh, and also missing the payoff while it's happening. I just think that's good. I mean, chapter three is rich in little things like that. Did you find present box in the desert. The the one that I'm talking about.
Uh,
You would remember.
Found
You would remember.
several.
Yeah, there's
Is it an item?
yeah, and actually probably that works out the best for you because it's just like a standard healing item. But if you open it as salsa in the beginning of chapter 3.
Oh, you mean the banana?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hassan just
okay.
takes it.
Yeah, the banana that he fucking takes.
And then he throws the peel on the ground, and you can trip on the fucking peel and fall
Yeah,
on
that's
your
what I
face,
did.
and
I
he
tried to
fucking
pick it back
laughs
up.
at you. It's just so like
That's good. It's charming.
Well, I thought you were referring to like the frog that you meet in the whirlpool. You have to fight the antlion for. I was like, wait,
yeah.
is that what he's referring to?
No.
But I forgot about the banana. What was it called? It was like the deluxe banana or something.
Yeah. I really like
Because then
that
you get the
interaction.
ancient banana in the tunnel, and he doesn't want anything to do with it.
Right. And of course, in what you would expect from an Earthbound sequel, if you know that and you just ignore that box entirely, you can get it later if you make the trek all the way back.
I got all the dung balls.
Yeah, they.
And then I found out and then what? They respawn?
The 3 dung balls in that one area. Yeah, they respawn.
It's like 6, I think. Unless there's more than one spot for dung balls.
There might be. I don't know. It's not an item.
I only
value
ever
very
found
heavily.
that one corner when I was exploring. So, I mean, I like Salsa's chapter because it's an interesting case of where the main character at least the player character isn't the one that's dealing the damage, and it's the side character that you have to rely on.
And it's
and all of his abilities are just reliant on debuffs or distraction.
And it makes you feel very powerless in that process. It definitely has.
Until you do that one dance that raises your offense by 20%.
Yeah.
Then it's fine.
It definitely can be kind of an infuriating section, I think, because it's like.
I'm having less trouble with it than I was before.
Oh yeah.
Not grinding as much.
Yeah.
It's mostly just because I have a more consistent source of damage, I suppose.
Right.
Because he always does like 40 damage, and these enemies, which are, I'm guessing, as low level as like the praying mantises were in Flint's chapter.
Mm-hmm.
He's just taking out in like 2 or 3 hits.
Right.
And it's not like the incredibly tough like suits of armor from chapter 2, or like the enemies I hated the most were the rocking horse ghosts. Those guys were annoying.
Yeah.
I found out that if you use the siren beetle on them, that works like 100% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty much how I had to face those encounters.
Did you get hit by the broom?
I did.
How'd you feel about that?
I wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah, neither was
I checked the trash can because I was thinking, oh, maybe there's an item in it because it's like Earthbound. Nope. Oh, I know what it is. Because when I read the sign, Danger Brooms, I didn't think anything of it because they behave like normal enemies.
Yeah.
Until I came back and I realized, oh, they're actually moving in a pattern. It is nice though that they disappear.
I'm pretty sure I walked right into one thinking it was an enemy.
Yeah, that's what happened the first time. I just walked right into him, got swept up, thrown back down. Okay, that's how that goes. Alrighty. But yeah, after that I just ran through and I got the 2 other items, one of which I think was a bracelet. The other one was a healing item, so not too great. I don't know how I feel about the learning new psi mechanic. You know what I'm talking about? Where Kumatora feels feverish.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. I don't hate it. I don't know if I like it. It just seems kind of odd.
It is odd. I agree.
It's just I'm having a fever and now I have no psi.
definitely, I think I agree, and then I never really formed any strong feelings about it one way or the other. Mostly because it would be kind of annoying, but it wouldn't ever last long enough for me to like
Yeah,
really
because
get
I mean,
annoyed.
I think it's just tied to steps taken. So if you were really not keen on it, you could just hold down speed up and walk back and forth until you
Yeah,
get the prompt. Like how in Pokemon they handle eggs.
yeah. Which,
So
and I guess in that particular area, maybe the intent was to use that in combination with the brooms to like make sure you have life up before the snake or something. But I
I
that's
suppose,
kind of weird.
yeah.
Um, yeah, or well, thunder I guess would be the more important thing for the snake.
Oh, does that
Tweak the thunder,
work
by the
really good
way.
on him? Because I
Yeah,
didn't try that. I tried
I
it
mean that's how it
once.
goes.
I tried it once and it
Yeah,
missed. And I was just like, I'll just go back to freeze. I'm not gonna do. Not gonna.
yeah.
I'll just do the more reliable thing.
It takes good damage, but it doesn't. I don't think it does. It has any increased accuracy or anything, so it's still a
Well, yeah.
coin flip in that sense.
I
That's
mean,
how it goes
it seems like
sometimes, though.
most of the psi mechanics are preserved from Earthbound. So
Hmm.
Thunder, I mean, Thunder just does more base damage in general than Fire or Freeze, and it pierces shields. But the caveat is that it misses. It's kind of like the difference between like Thunderbolt and Thunder in Pokemon, because Thunderbolt is more consistent. I think it has an accuracy of like 100 or something.
Hmm.
But it doesn't do as much damage as Thunder, which is like I think it's like almost like a 100 power attack, which is really strong, but it has an accuracy of like 70. So whether or
Right.
not it hits is not the greatest odds. I think it's even lower than that if I remember. It's on the same level as like Double Edge,
Right.
but Double Edge the punishment is more that you take damage rather than you miss. Although I think it still can miss based on speed. Fun Pokemon stats.
Flubber gets a 4 out of 10.
It flubbed up.
I was
They
waiting for
really
that line.
flubbed this one.
I
I'm
wasn't
waiting
even
for
gonna
the
do it
YouTube
until
poop
I
where it's
just
they really flouthed this one.
yeah.
Yeah, I really swoused this one.
Apparently, the Flubber like sounds were made from like a water balloon
Robin
filled.
Williams' asshole being torn apart by the production managers.
Uh huh.
Just gonna give
It was
that
like a
a
water balloon that
large.
also had Metamucil in it, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Metastasized.
that's what.
How's it?
Mestesta. Meta. Dunk, what's your movie?
What?
Are you feeling okay, buddy?
Metamucil. Say it with me. Meta.
Meta.
I was thinking of the word
Mucil.
metastasize. I don't know. I think
What?
they said that once.
Are you actually feeling okay? My phone
What
just
about
beeped.
metafiction? That also starts
I'm
with the
feeling
prefix
fine. I
meta.
just didn't. I didn't want to interrupt because you guys were talking about a game I didn't play, and yeah,
Ooh,
you
my
had a good
Verizon
chemistry going.
Verizon just texted me and told me thank you for your recent payment of $39.99.
Ooh.
Shout
Did you,
outs. Now I'm gonna
did you
get
make a
doxxed.
payment
Huh?
of $39.99?
I have it set to auto pay, which normally I wouldn't do, but if you have auto pay configured, then your bill they charge you $10 less, which is nice.
That's good.
Wow, that's
That's so.
psychological business at its finest.
I mean, they're the only ISP in this building, and normally it's $49.99, so I just paid $39.99.
Well, no, it's not. It's not your fault. It's just I'm upset with the immoral psychology experts they hired to find a way to trick people into.
You mean think
Speaking
tanks?
of immoral and psychology, what's your next movie?
Right. So
Huh.
that's me. I'm immoral
Transition.
and psychological. Is
No,
that-
I'm saying that your next. I'm putting you into a corner by saying your next movie will be immoral and
Well, that's
psychological.
your words have no weight. I've already decided what it's going to be. So
Yes.
Your words
What
have
do you
no
say?
more weight than your balls.
Doesn't matter. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
We're gonna pick a
This is a
game.
movie. Well, that would be
We
good.
might as well at this point.
This is a movie that I haven't seen. That
Ooh, a first, I think.
For him, yeah.
Ryan hadn't seen that one movie. It Comes at Night. That was good. But for me, yes, this is a movie that I have not seen, and I don't know.
Cool.
What it's gonna be like.
Is it The
And
Absent-Minded Professor?
I hope that you guys are not too
Bothered by it?
destroyed by this. And if we
Okay.
need to take an extra week, we can take an extra week.
Is it gonna be? Are we gonna have another Such a Beautiful Day?
I
What-
don't think so,
Considering he's not seen the movie, no.
but I think it won't be like that because of type rather than intensity, is my theory.
I see.
Wait, hang on. Let me see if I can guess. List of films by Matt Stone and Trey
Nice.
Parker.
Nice.
Let me search my
Hell yes.
memories.
For a legitimate guess, I'm guessing it's gonna be a Breakage film.
No, that would be
Rock
too
Rage.
predictable because we had talked about it the other day. But
Yeah.
it's on the same like
Level of abstraction.
Wouldn't even know where to guess.
sphere of thought.
I might as well
Yeah.
say The Great Train Robbery.
I've seen The Great Train Robbery. It's not bad. It's better than Birth of a Nation.
Not nearly as racist.
That's just what they want you to think.
Uh,
I'm
the whites were the really oppressed ones.
I'm building this up
Yeah.
because I'm not ready to throw out my card where I can still back out at the very last second before I say it, but I'm not.
Well, is it a conventionally viewed, like, is the film conventionally viewed as being bad? Is that why you're hesitant?
I don't think so.
What's
No.
the hesitation?
There's no rules on this.
Yeah, but you guys.
I mean, It Comes at Night was chosen after changing my mind on the podcast from Hereditary.
You guys will probably resent me for this.
Is
probably
it
will.
is it 8 hours long?
Oh, it's gonna be fucking Empire, isn't it?
It's 8 hours long. He's not saying anything.
Here's the thing. It's not 8 hours long. It's 11.
God!
What the fuck?
Why are you upset?
Who do you think
you don't
we are?
You don't have a life. You can spend 11 hours a day watching movies.
That's what I'm most worried about. Is I don't want to like waste all of Soy's free time on this.
All right,
We
well,
can
what
take-
is it then?
We can do another week.
Well,
We can do
what's
2
the
weeks.
what's the film? Just so I know the
It's
name.
called Circus Savage.
Circus Savage.
Circus Savage.
Not to be confused with Savage Circus, the power metal band.
Is it
See-
is it related?
I don't think so. No.
It's honestly, it's about time you chose something like this because like that it would make the podcast so much more interesting if you chose some of
I
your
would
weird
not
bullshit.
say that until it happens, and it does. Because for all we know, this could be the most boring episode because all of us are like, yeah, I didn't get it. And then we go to bed because we watched an 11-hour movie.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes.
642 minutes.
I
Quite long.
It might
Quite
be
long.
kind of hard to find. So if you guys need me
That's
to
quite
I
large.
suppose that's my
Look you
main
up.
problem is that could I find a website that would stream an 11-hour fucking
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that it's on.
What would be?
Fandor.
Do you have a follow-up pick if this falls through?
No, I guess I should.
Should have the film randomizer
It might
pulled
fall
up.
through. The 11-hour obscure movie might actually not work out the way I wanted it to.
Who knows?
All I wanted was a Pepsi.
Should have chosen The Island by Richard Williams, or whatever it's
Plus,
called.
like, and the concept of this podcast is that people will also watch this.
Okay, yes, but Ryan, this argument only holds weight if anyone listens to the podcast.
I mean, they don't
I know
have
no
to.
one will watch this.
I doubt people are scrambling to watch Flubber.
Oh yeah.
But probably because a lot of them have seen it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
My 5th grade teacher put it on, and I think I vaguely remember the part where, like, the naked lady in the art class, and I was wow, it was the kind of teacher who's like, oh, you can handle it, and then she would show, like, slightly edgier than she was supposed to. And by slightly edgier than she was supposed to, I mean, like, The Goonies, which is, like,
That's
nothing.
pretty good.
It is good, yeah.
I mean, that's better than, like, I remember in 4th grade, must have been near the end of the year or something, but our teacher was just putting up random videos, and for some reason the school library had tapes of like TV recordings, first off, of that shitty Classy Soupso McDonald's cartoon. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
I think
No.
so.
I don't.
Probably not.
So the animation studio that brought you Rugrats was contracted to make a cartoon show about Ronald McDonald and all the classic McDonald's characters having wacky adventures. And the episode I remember was like the Hamburglar gets abducted by aliens and he becomes like their pet, and he has a brief existential crisis and vows to never steal again. But then at the end of the episode, there's that sight gag of a hamburger walking by, and he's like, "Time to steal again." So it didn't really mean anything. It would have been interesting if it did, but they're fucking McDonald's is not gonna let them do anything interesting with that brand. That's
not going to turn it into a takedown of Reagan's drug policy.
Yeah, it wasn't even gonna go near that. Because this show was like mid to late 90s, I think.
We could all just sign up for Fandor and use the 14-day free trial to watch Circus Savage.
Use what?
Or I could just make the account and then give you guys the password. Fandor, it's a pretentious film nerd streaming service.
Oh, of course. Pretentious in the bad way or good way?
In a way that I like, but I don't know if you would. You would have to...
Neutral good?
Maybe more like true neutral. Pretentiousness in art is usually pretty neutral, I think. If not... Actually, maybe it's more evil now that I think about it. I feel like art kind of fundamentally is kind of a self-important act.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And to be self-important is to require the destruction of other elements.
Speaking of self-importance, I keep seeing Night in the Woods art because of that one charity package on Itch.io.
Yeah, which I got the charity pack because it has like Quadrilateral Cowboy and like other stuff that I wanted to play in it. But I almost didn't get it just because it has Night in the Woods in it.
I just donated directly to the NAACP bail fund.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh,
cool.
That's
good.
Cool. I didn't know.
Black Lives Matter, everyone. All cops are bad.
I just didn't want to fucking get all those games because I didn't really have an active interest in them.
That's fair.
And I wanted to donate more than $5.
It's true.
I mean, you can donate whatever you want on that.
Yes, I think
it just automatically sets it to
I think he knows.
Well, it says it's $10, and then you can get it for as cheap as $5.
Yes,
But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but what? Yeah. Are we? Oh, we're still going, dude.
I guess. Well, I mean, we could stop.
Hour
We could set
34.
the next movie.
We're like real podcasters, dude.
Well, I thought this was
yeah.
the part. I thought this was the part where we talked about something else, or we've been doing that the entire time, but you know.
As they say, a group of light men is called a podcast.
Is that what they say?
What about all those podcasts I see on Spotify where it's like, time to listen to black women speak, and the podcast is called like Black Women Talk.
I've never really seen those on Spotify.
They've been pushing it lately because of current events.
Well, yeah, I suppose they would be. But I only listen to like 3 podcasts on Spotify anyway, and I don't go looking for new podcasts. I just stick with the ones that I've always listened to. Castle Super Beast, let me tell you about.
You listen to this shitty podcast.
You listened to this, and yet you didn't catch that error.
Ooh.
Damn.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure that was a YouTube error. Because that has happened.
Man. I can double check. I don't give a shit anyway. I don't think anyone does.
Glad to see you finally reached the entropy of caring.
Yeah.
Well, the entropy of caring would be just to quit again, and just the podcast just stops existing again.
Wait, you ever quit? I don't remember you quitting.
No, Mari quit, and then the podcast just stopped for a while, and then I came in and I was like, podcast again, and then we did.
Because you were like, I'll do all the grunt work.
Yeah. And now I'm only occasionally motivated to do the grunt work.
Well, I wouldn't expect anything else.
Which is more than Mari anyway. Anyway.
Be sure to project.
Project! Get close to your mic and project, guys. Guys, we got. No, I'm not gonna. No. I don't want to make fun of Mari.
And the cutoff.
Is that it?
No.
Is that your...
Yeah.
Done?
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, we'll put. Yeah, there. Yeah, we'll put. Yeah, there. Yeah, we'll put. Yeah, there.
Oh,
yeah,
actually.
yeah, there. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll click stop.
Yeah, alright, I guess.